Today we will talk about OpenShift Virtualization. Hello, welcome Cloud Technical Discussion. So in OpenShift Virtualization, there are so many things, and OpenShift Virtualization based on open source tool called KubeVirt. That KubeVirt is an open source tool. Uh, Long time back came in this industry. It's open source tool, but last 2 years, OpenShift adopted it very widely because the VMware, after Broadcom acquired the VMware license cost goes high, and that is why OpenShift virtualization more popular now in industries. So Red Hat is focusing on this OpenShift virtualization. So that is the background why much more on the virtualization. And this OpenShift virtualization is based on KVM. That KubeVirt tool is based on the KVM tool. I'm not going to talk about KVM much more and the KubeVirt much more. We'll talk about mostly on OpenShift virtualization. Let's then jump into the cluster. This is my one of the single node cluster that you can see running on single node basically. I'll install and demonstrate how to install OpenShift, then OpenShift virtualization, and I can see it's a single node cluster near about running on 87 pod. It's total 32 GB RAM, and it's a i7 7 Gen mini PC I have installed. I have another cluster also similar like that. This cluster name is SNO Bare Metal 2, and this cluster is basically same, but it's a Bare Metal 1. So in this cluster, basically not in this cluster. This cluster I have already installed. You can see this is Bare Metal 1. So in this cluster, we are going to install OpenShift virtualization. Once the virtualization is available, you can see there is a one tab will come like a virtual machine. So here similar like a, you can see this is the virtualization tab will come and something going to like that. So I'm not going to explore that part before we start anything. In every computer, there is three things is important. One is the compute, another is the storage, another is the networking. So storage does basically the storage where normally the OS is going to be installed, and networking is basically how networking component communication should be happen, and that compute part. So compute part that will consume from the each of the host of the cluster where the from the cluster basically where the machine is reside, and the networking there is a different concept how networking is. So what are the tool is required for the networking that I am going to install also, and for the storage also there are different different vendor also externally internally, but here we are basically I am going to install in the local in the same node. I'm consuming some space, and that I am going to use, and how we are going to do for your own lab or testing purpose. You can do that. And if you want to do more on that, so external different vendor like a production is any production system, you need to go for any other vendor like IBM or Dell storage, and then you can install that the tool CSI, and that will consume the storage for your VM. So before go into anything, let me install that. What are the tool is there for OpenShift Virtualization? And here you can see there is nothing is installed as of now. No operator installed here. In the software catalog, I'll go to search for I'm checking in the all namespace. We need to search virtual. Yeah, you can see there is a virtual tool also there. My virtual OpenShift virtualization and the OpenShift migration tool also. This is also required if you wanted to migrate VM from the different entity like VMware or any others. So here I'm going to talk about the virtualization only. So that tool we are going to install. And this is the GUI method. I have written in the small note on that how you can do it in the CLI as well. So CLI you need to create a namespace. OpenShift CNV, then the operator group, then subscription. These three things are very important to install only operator. After that, you need a hyperconverged. There is an instance you need to deploy. This the fourth step. Here also I am going to do the same way, but through GUI. I'll share those notes for in the link. So click on the OpenShift virtualization. After that, if you want to more, if you choose any different version, you can choose. But I'm choosing that stable. There's a different version also, old version also there. So right now I'm using the current version 4.2015. That is the OpenShift virtualization. And so just click on install. You can see that is a stable channel is selected, and namespace also submitted in that OpenShift CNV. Just install. It will take time. So meanwhile, I can go back to my CLI also to see get node. This is my SNO bare metal 2. OC get NS concept CNV. You can see that 33 seconds is just started to install. Now I just get OC get PO minus N. It started creating for the OpenShift. So it will take time. Meanwhile, yeah, it is already started. See what is the progress on that. Normally, my network bandwidth is not so good, so it will take time to set up. So once it will be there, I'll come. Meanwhile, I'll just pause that video. I'll come back after that. So you can see that this only the operator is installed. and this is the pod is running. You can see that, but so far the main component is the hyperconverged that I told you in the CLI also. Here you can create a hyperconverged. You can see that is clearly written as a required. So if you wanted to do something similar like that, so you need to apply like this. This is the one procedure I'm going to here use as a GUI, so you can do that. So I just created that. If you modify anything, you can modify the so many components are there. I'm not going to talk about that part. There's just create. Mostly are all are common. So it started. The background also I'll check. Yeah, you can see there is so many things that started. That pod is one is the CDI. This is the most normally this one used for. I'll try to explain what are the other component. In this component basically the pod is used for. Mm, so CDI is basically the data volume. How the normally the virtualization storage is consumed and how data is allocated on that. So if you need to um, import that image and use that, so CDI will help you. And then the host path provisioner, that is the most important here. I'll try to explain much more because we are going to consume here. Then Cube Mac pool. This gives you the networking with the virtual MAC address if you wanted to use. Then there's a part operator also there, you can see already there, and that migration controller keyword. So when you if you have a multiple node, so you can migrate VM from here to other node also. This feature I cannot explain here because we are using only uh, uh, that single node. You can see, and this Vart API is the main things, and that is how you are communicating with the different virtual area. And these are the all things are related to keyword, and you can see this is the keyword API, and other is installed. Console also there, console plugin also there. Then keyword handler. Normally, this handler is residing in every node controller. So it's similar like OpenShift API controller and something like that. So these are the things will be going to install. And you can see this is close to very fast is installing. And you can see there is a virtualization tab also there. So new things if you wanted to do that. And additionally, if you want anything, so virtualization here also you can one pop-up will so not installed, it will come. Earlier before it will be only in administrator. So virtualization tab also came, overview if you wanted to see, that is here. So you can start tool also. So mostly then as of now there is no virtual machine. Before we proceed any virtualization, there are a couple of things we need to set up. Otherwise, it will not be move on. I'm just waiting hot handler should be start. So you can install any VM from here, but without you cannot right now VM because we have not set it up the storage. Until and unless you set it up storage networking, you cannot move on. So before I proceed anything, let me check status. It will take time. So you can see that all pod are installed. CMD. Let me check one more time. This is the another thing. I'll explain that part until. So now we have installed the virtual that operator, virtual machine operator, basically the keyword in the back. But after that, what are the other things? I told that we need to install that storage and the networking for that. So I'll not explain much more details, in-depth concept, what are the storage and available, and what is the networking component, because I'll create a separate video for that. So the main focus is in this video basically virtualization, create VM, and one more bonus point also I'll try to create uh, OpenShift Virtualization VM on top of again create a Kubernetes cluster that is in RP. That I will demonstrate in this video. Before that, I'll try to explain that storage related. So here we are going to use the inbuilt same disk where virtualization is installed. I mean, OpenShift is installed. I'll consume small data, and that is I'm going to install on top of a small folder. So because it's a single SNO cluster with single one disk, so I'll try to consume the same host path provisioner operated, and which by default installed part of that I told earlier before, that is the host path provisioner. If you if you are installed or planning to do in that in the production, maybe the concept is different. You need a different CSI driver for the different vendor like IBM or any other, or there is a NetApp also there, and Dell storage also there. This is how we are going to do. Let's install that first, that host part provision. For that, I'll create that part first. Once basically what it does, it will, you can see that is the inside that we are going to create a one VM storage pool that is used basically consume the local space, that is var and VM volumes. That folder will be created where all volumes will be, so it will be little fast and for testing also, but not for production. Now, if I wanted to see what is CND, you can see there is a one provisioner already started. So earlier before only the operator was, so once you enable this one, so it will start creating the container for that. So just make it little wide, so it will start that. Meanwhile, I'll try to explain what are the other component that is pending for the networking. So apart from that, one more thing also. Okay, I need to forgot. I need to create the storage class. Until and unless you deploy that, you cannot do that. So that you need to create the storage class, and I just created the storage class as a, this storage class will be as a default class. So all things will be installed, because when you install the VM OpenShift, now you can see this running. And if I actually, once you create it, that time it is created for that, there is no storage class. Okay, now if I install the storage class, and install the storage, you need to map it this VM storage full what earlier before we mentioned, right? This VM storage should be mapped. So storage class got created. Now if you, I'll tell you what happened. Yeah, once your storage class is created, OpenShift will try to install and download some default OS images. The 4 to 5 images OpenShift provider provides some image like a Linux, CentOS, then RHL. By default, it will come and it will install in that. So if I, and it is basically under OpenShift Virtualization in namespace. Now OC get PVC, so persistent volume used for that. So these are the volume is created. So you can see it uses the my SNO cluster is on top of 230 and 250 GB disk when it concerns. So you can see the Open CentOS stream 910, Fedora Red Hat 8, 9, 10 is. So it will just try to install that. Once it will install, then only you can see something in that virtualization project. And you can see some catalog. Catalog means what type of instance you can create, and then template catalog also you can do that. So CentOS, Fedora, these are the things you'll have to. If you import any Windows also, you can download and do that. Actually, it will pull image from. So already I think CentOS 9 is already there. Red Hat is about to pull it. So maybe we can start something differently. But before I go to that, so our storage is done. Now I am going to do some networking part. For networking, I need to install that in state operator, which will give you the details. and the networking. So before I proceed, let me install that first. I'll create the name state operator and the simple install, nothing to do very fancy on that. It will install that. Then after that, the similar fashion, you need to create some instance. That's it. I'll pausing. So name state operator already installed. You can see. Now I'm going to check. Even the PVC is also all images downloaded. After that, you need to create a instance. It's similar like that. So you need to create that instance. I'll share the same thing for the name OpenShift name state. Let's see what OpenShift name state create instance. So only operator you can see only installed as of now. So now I'm going to install nm state instance. Once it will install, it will basically create some pod which is related to node only. So networking happened on that. I'll try to compare with that so you can understand what is behind the scene happening. So this will help you to understand much more in-depth concept. So all are running. So nothing is pending so far now. Now you can proceed with. Now we can proceed with the rest of the things. So once it will be done, kubeconfig, kubeadmin, then we need to password. Okay, next step is basically what basically in here I'll tell you something different. So as OpenShift here in my cluster, it's a SNA cluster. We are using single NIC. So that NIC is already uses some bridgex that is used, and so So you need to, if you create the traffic for the VM also, so you need to use that bridge. So that will, when the traffic will flow the same network, so you can do communication through that the VM network also. Otherwise, you need to create a separate for production. Normally, it should be in VLAN or something, separate NIC or other bond. So I'll not talk about right now. Maybe in the upcoming session, I can give you more details on that, which will help you to do much more. That will be more interesting for you guys. So NM studies there. After an instant, basically, in the network section, there are so many component. You can see the network policy, network attachment definite and configuration. Uh, so once I'll create that. Sorry, I made a little mistake on that because I used something different. First, I need to delete that. I wrongly, because host name I mentioned in the VM2. That's why it's not will work. It's processing. You can see it's processing, progressing, available. It's available. And then city successfully configured, and then is available. So our networking part is done. Even in the storage also done. All images are there. Now I'll create some VM for that. Networking is not yet done because I so far I created only the network configuration. There is another thing is required for NAD that I will do. So before provisioning, let me create some namespace for that. I'm going to here. So there's two namespaces created. Linux VM and now so far I have not created any virtual machine. You can see. I'll going to create some first. I'll create the cluster user defined CDUN. So CDUN we have to create first, and then only it will go to that. And that CDUN I'll explain little in the upcoming videos. And as I told, the next in-depth details we'll talk about. So before that, so one schedule, basically the benefit of the schedule, if you define that things, schedule, so and there is automatically NAT, network attachment definition, which is required for the VM, will automatically create. So that is the benefit for that schedule. As I told, I'll explain that part in upcoming networking special video. Now I'm going to create some virtual machine. Two VM I'll create. I share those details in the link. Two VM I have created. One is K8 master and that K8 worker. In this Linux VM, you can see I started. Now, how virtual machine on the back end, how it works. I'll explain that part later. OC gate PO, comma DV data volume, which will give you the how volumes are created. Then PVC, then VM and VMI. These are the object or component normally uh, install learn VM. And you can see its image is started downloading, cloning in progress from that existing importer. 6%. Once it will ready, so it will start. Why I put it here? Because this VM but launcher normally create the pod, which is the pod normally help to VM to communicate and others. So data volume is a import external image and put it in the PVC. So that PVC can use for this virtual machine. And then once the virtual machine is in, it will connect with the basically there is another object called VMI, virtual machine instance. So it's in the starting phase and its init phase is started. Just allow some times. I use 4 GPUs, CPU and the 4 GB RAM. Still scheduling. you want to try something, why it's taking maybe OC describe pod minus n, then lend him the namespace. Ah, there is another thing is because I have not sought so far the secret because it is attached with that. So that so far I have not done. Maybe I can help you on that. How forward that. So I go to this one VM. If you wanted to try to download one, because what is missing is mentioned because it's a secret the SSH key. Normally I have attached those SSH key with that VM YAML, so it will searching that, so it is not there, that's why it's not able to do that. uh, yeah, I have not yet configured, so I just offline create add new. So I'm going to upload from my existing IDRSA just so I can reuse the same thing. So what is the secret name? As Lin common SSH. So common SSH for OC get. I get temporary, I just created it to automatically again created. So actually I don't know, I have little utilization issue. So I'll this VM I'll delete. And you can see already started this one, but I'll not. Yes, I've stopped that because I have a resource crunch in that, so I cannot do much more because we already used that game. Let me check how. Yeah, now I can see there's two IP assigned. If I can go back and start deploying that VM. So how I can use that? Let's connect that VM. If you want to connect from here also, you can connect. Otherwise, I'll try to connect from CLI. My SSH key basically the locally connected here. SSH C. My SSH are located in slash root common ID RSA. So I'm going to use SSH minus I slash root ID. Sorry, what the IP? SSH minus I ID say CentOS. Actually, it's an implies the CentOS. So yes. Now I am in KDS master. So IPA, you can see it is 11. Host name is 8 master. Sudo. So here, uh, so you can see. So OpenShift Virtualization so far, what I try to demonstrate is already done. You can create virtual machine from here also. If you wanted to create new virtual machine, just create form template. So what type of VM you want? If you want something Windows type also, it will get, but you need to download the Windows. Windows not a so auto import is there, but here Windows in auto import is not available. You need to download sources because you can see source is available. That means can uh, you can install. But here they have given the template, but it is not imported. I mean, source is not available as of now. So I'm just going to create here. I'm just clicking on VM, CentOS 9 VM. You need to just mention CentOS VM name test, and you can configure the existing work. like a select secret, something like that. And then if you need to customize like a that basically what you can say networking and other you can do. Let's say I'm just going to install Nick external, then automatically network is coming, so you need to configure that, then only you can come. There is two network by default it will come as a default networking, which is the pod networking use. And if you connect externally, then CDUN cluster networking we have to use. Then I'm just going to delete that, so it will be easy for. But I'm not sure whether this will possible to create that VM, because the resource touch may happen. So if I create that other, if you want to script and change anything, you can module. Normally I do that, this thing. So create. So this is how we can create the new room. But as a bonus, what I am going to do, basically I am going to install OpenShift. I have so far installed OpenShift Virtualization operator, name state operator, and the storage also I mapped it with the existing local storage. But if you want to do something different, and even I created two VMs. One is the K8 master, K8 also. Now I am going to install basically uh, Kubernetes cluster on top of OpenShift VM. So I'm going to use as a Kubernetes Rancher cluster RK. I'm not going to talk about much more details in the what is Rancher, but these steps we can follow. And if you want to interest, maybe I can go through later in the separate video. Uh, just it will download. So far, I'm in the master. Just so it will download RKE2 on this VM. So far, so that means we are running Kubernetes cluster on OpenShift Virtualization, which is running as a OpenShift container platform. So, in a nutshell, you can say something Kubernetes or in Kubernetes. So, in the backend, basically, in OpenShift, that is a Kubernetes only, the upstream. So, now we are trying to do running Kubernetes. RK also is a Kubernetes. It's from different distribution from Rancher. And so running Kubernetes on top of Kubernetes. So call it a kick Kubernetes in Kubernetes. So once it will be done, I will create configure the kubectl on the master. It takes times. Yeah, you can see that this is running, and it took the IP of the 192.168.0. So CentOS test game also running. How to access? Go to console if you want to use, and this will give you the CentOS as the by default username and password. Also, you will get if you wanted to connect directly. Directly as you open console. So, as I mentioned, because this is a single node cluster, I don't have any other node also. That's why his message is showing not migrated. Parallelly, I'm checking on the Kubernetes part. Or and OS HOLT dash LM1H dash XEW5. See, that's it. So you can easily 12 IP is asset. Okay. Yeah. I think you have Rancher master is installed. Now, if I go to OC get NS, don't think something different. Actually, I have linked that kubectl with that OC. A little familiar with the OC command, and it is a sort. So, but closely it's same. OC is originally OC is wrapper on top of kubectl. So OC get node. This is a rancher master. OC get pod minus A. Now I need to join that cluster from the worker node to be added. So what I'll do, let me check for that what is the master worker node IP. Worker node IP is 10. Okay, let's join the 10. Yes, sudo so worker. For worker, I have to install this. Again, it will install. But the difference between that, So we need to map it with the master. Other my existing cluster will added. So 3 VM running in that OpenShift cluster. Here also I install that some 2 VM and same Linux cluster. So it's a similar. I'll demonstrate that part. Master. Here we are running and 2 node cluster. And here we are running 3 VM. Rancher, if you are planning to do any Kubernetes install, so Rancher is good. So they have something, so enterprise version also, Rancher. But if you are planning to do like KubeADM and others, you will not get a support from that. You can test. But Rancher is a good tool for the Kubernetes if you are looking for any enterprise. I mean, vanilla Kubernetes, something like that. Just enable agent archive. First one is the master, and the second one is basically here we are going to start as a agent, and that uh, very straightforward thing. This command will basically install that tool. The difference between you can see, and this is if you don't do anything, I mean, install type if you don't mention, it will be installed as a by default master. And then you have to create some directory, etc rancher archive. And here for the master, basically I have created the 2 token. Both the token is required, otherwise the node will not connect it. Token you can put it as something arbitrary. If you don't mention, then it will create automatically for this here. But here no need to mention. No need to mention. If you join that cluster, that from that token you have to use. This is how. And another thing in the for agent, you need to modify the put the master IP. Like here we are using 11. So and the port is 9345, and you have to put it in the config.table. Then the simple start that agent. You can see it's already there. Now I'm just going back. What happened behind the scene? Let's say try to check pod. Now you can see Open Kubernetes cluster is started running. It's already done. OC get no. So worker is about to run because of this. The networking is not done using kernel. So difference between the Kubernetes is and the Rancher means RK is a basic Kubernetes. Both are basic Kubernetes, and OpenShift is a wrapper on top of Kubernetes. Yeah. So you can see all pod are installed. So RK is ready. OC get no. So as of now, that's it from my side. So far, thank you for watching. I do personally training and consultancy on Kubernetes or OpenShift related deployment, architecture, and solutioning as a professional services. So if you are interested for that, connect with me in Cloud Cafe Tech at gmail.com. I'll get back to you. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching.